So now we're going to talk about you have your main thing that you're doing. For many of you, it's real estate, and we're looking to introduce something new, a new revenue stream. I go back to well, I can't get my years right. Back when my son was born, what I realized was I had one income stream. And when I stopped showing up, the money stopped coming in. And it was 10 years ago that I decided that at some point, I don't want to have to show up in order to get paid. So you might be in that spot right now. So here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask that you settle in. In the 6Cs, we talk about the first C is commitment. The last C is consistency. So I'm going to ask that you settle in. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about a lot is time management. I'm going to ask that you allocate 3 hours a week for your new success code. Now, the reason I say 3 hours a week is because this is going to require time on task over time, more importantly than just sheer effort and raw determination. It's more important that you're doing this 52 weeks from now than it is that you just go all in for the next 30 days. See, consistency is what's going to make the biggest difference on whether or not you reach your goals and have the life that you want to have. So let's look at this. We're going to talk about skill set. Now, I believe that we're moving into a digital age where information is a commodity and proximity and implementation is what people pay for. So you're watching this on a YouTube video. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm giving much more away because you can pretty much find out anything that you want on YouTube. So here's what I'm going to do. I want you to look at YouTube. Many of you could benefit from YouTube, yet you can't see the ROI on it right now. It's something where if you commit to it year after year after year, it can give you huge leverage. So I'll just use the analogy of this. Even though I have the skill sets of doing video, I've done Facebook Lives, I've probably done thousands of them. This is a different animal. I find myself clunking over. It's like going from driving a standard car to an automatic, and I keep going to shift, and it's just different. So what I've got is I've got a skill set from prior things that I've done, yet I haven't completely connected the dots on how these skill sets transfer over smoothly. So I'm working on skill set. Second thing is it's time on task. In fact, I find it much more difficult just to hit the record button when it's not live because I have the ability to hit the stop button, or I'm more critical of myself because I want it to be much more perfect than, say, a Facebook Live. So I'm working on skill set, I'm working on time on task, and I'm experimenting. I've been using Zoom, yet sometimes when I use Zoom, my audio doesn't match video, and the words don't match my lips, and it feels a little bit awkward. And so I'm experimenting to get a victory. So I've been doing these videos this morning. I'm experimenting, I'm getting a victory. I send it over to my producer, and what I'm hoping will come back is some confidence. And she says something like, "Hank, that's great." So then we'll walk back and we'll work on skill set again. And then we'll do another video, get time on task. The experimentation will turn into action at some point. And that's where the magic starts to happen. We call that phase 2. Phase 1 is clunky. You're usually, what you're earning is you're learning. It doesn't feel like you're getting traction. In phase 2, it's like, okay, I've got some skill sets. I've got time on task. Here's the activities. So now we can math it out. This is where we'll typically go from 3 hours a week to allocating the math equation. And this is where it's important. We'll talk more about time management in another video. Is I don't think you want to work 80 hours a week. See, we need time to refill our buckets. We need priority management where we have an intensity in it, because in my old class that I taught, they said all work expands to the time that's allowed. And I truly believe that subtraction leads to multiplication. Just think about this. When you go on vacation, think about how much more you get done. When you limit the hours that you work, what you do is you get the most important things done. And I digressed. So let's get back to this. Once you get through phase 1 of the success code, you've got skill set, time on task, and experimentation, and it turns into action. Now we can start to look at a math equation. You'll start to know things like, all right, I know that I'm going to, on average, end up taking 6 takes of the video. Well, in order to take 6 takes, I'm going to have to allocate 2 hours to get one video done on my part. Once I get the video done, it's going to take 3 to 4 days of my producer of putting it together. It's going to take another hour for me to watch, suggest edits and everything else. And we start to do the math equation where it's like, it's going to take 1 week to do a video. It's going to take 4 to 5 hours of my time. And I'm going to commit to doing 36 videos. So now we start looking at the math equation. Okay, this process is going to take a year. So then I get it in my schedule. I'm now putting 5 hours a week into it. And again, we're probably not getting a lot of results monetarily. However, as we're working the success code, we're getting a foundation. And pretty soon, before we know it, instead of taking 6 takes, we'll end up taking 1. Instead of taking my producers 3 or 4 days, it might be a 24-hour turnaround because there's not as many decisions to make. See, right now, going through everything that we're going through, when I'm filming this, we're in the middle of COVID-19, and we're getting decision fatigue. Typically, what happens in the early stages of the success code is you've got a lot more decisions to make. And what we're doing is we're making those decisions and hopefully making the decisions once, learning from them, adapting, and putting standards and principles in place. So here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to look at your next success code. What is it that you could get bored out of your mind doing and you're willing to be consistent on until you get that victory? Because once you get that victory and you get that confidence and you start getting some feedback, you're more likely to continue. And then it just becomes a math equation. See, your success is predictable if you're willing to do the work. If you're willing to continue to hit that brick wall, as my old hockey coach used to say, keep hitting that brick wall until that first brick comes out. Once that first brick comes out and you get that feedback like, Hank, your YouTube videos have changed my life. I mean, I remember sitting in a pool and this lady comes up and she comes up screaming. She's like, oh my gosh, it's Hank. And I kind of looked at her and it felt a little creepy. She goes, I've watched every video you've ever done. She goes, Hank, you speak to my soul. You've changed my life. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm missing out on a huge opportunity by not putting this out on YouTube and taking the one-offs of the Facebook Lives and slowing down. And I've gone through the success code of Facebook Live. Now it's time to go through the success code of YouTube. So I'm glad that you're on this journey with me. I look forward to doing these videos. Do me a favor. Give me some encouragement. Give me some feedback. That's the fuel that keeps me going. And if you like this, subscribe, invite your friends, do all that stuff that those YouTubers tell you to do. Thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.